Yeah, it's that time. We're going to take a quick look at the latest news in the transfer front. And to do that, Simon and I are joined by talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, the one and the only Alex Crook. Alex, first off, well done so early, going with the Graham Potter story. And Potter now, of course, the man in charge, 2.5-year deal, as you told us. Lopetegui exit the football club, as you told us. So now it's a question of seeing what Graham Potter can do in charge of West Ham, all right?
It is, and no manager gives a bad first press conference, but I was quite impressed with the way that Graham Potter spoke this morning. Clearly he's up for the challenge. One training session before playing Villa in the FA Cup tomorrow night live on talkSPORT. So not an easy circumstance to take over, but I think they're going to be active in the transfer market as well, West Ham. They were big spenders in the summer. A lot of those signings haven't really worked out, hence the fact Julian Lopetegui was relieved of his duties. One to keep an eye on, I'm told, potentially, and this might excite West Ham fans, is Marcus Rashford. We know that he's likely to leave Manchester United in this transfer window. We know that his entourage have been over in Italy, holding talks with the likes of AC and Inter Milan, I'm told. But West Ham have been asked to be kept abreast of developments there. They know it's unlikely that a move to one of those European big guns is probably higher on Rashford's agenda, but certainly one that we're going to be tracking nonetheless.
My goodness. So, I mean, that would be Rashford taking the Jesse Lingard route, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say Tottenham fans will remember, of course, Christian Gross's press conference when he started waving a train ticket around as a press conference that wasn't particularly uplifting. But I can't see Rashford to West Ham. Sullivan wouldn't put his hand in his pocket for that kind of money. And even if he did, I don't know how much Man United would be helpful in that situation. I don't think Rashford would be going to West Ham, but it'd be fascinating if he did.
Yeah, we'll keep watching it. Alex, thanks for that. Alex, Manchester City looking to strengthen. I suppose they have to, don't they?
Well, they do. It wasn't necessarily part of the plan at the start of the season, but obviously it's been a really disappointing defence, their Premier League title. So I think there is going to be business to be done. We know they're in contact with Lens over in France over a move for one of their defenders, Abdul Kadir Kushanov, and Uzbekistan international. That would be a fee in excess of £30 million. And another defender on their radar, he's on the radar of a few Premier League clubs, but looks like City in the box seat, an 18-year-old Brazilian Vitor Reis. Again, that would be a deal worth more than £30 million. So certainly Manchester City trying to do business, and we know they're interested in Marmoush, the forward at Frankfurt as well. They're looking for €60 million to let him go mid-season. So I wonder just how many players we could be talking about arriving at the Etihad come the end of the month.
We could never have envisaged that at the start of the season, that in January, yourself, myself and Alex would be talking about the need for City to strengthen.
No one would have anticipated, because we would have all been disciples of the way forward is whatever Pep Guardiola says.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the fact that they've fallen short and they can't defend and they're conceding goals easily probably lends you to the conclusion that he's got a rebuild on his hands. But if anyone can probably cater for a rebuild, it's Pep Guardiola. The other argument people would say is, aren't they about to face sanctions? Would they be in trouble? No, listen, Man City are going to continue operating the way Man City have operated. They're not going to stop.
Yeah. We were talking yesterday about two youngsters at Manchester United. Would they dare move them on? Mainu and Garnacho. And now we're talking about Amad Diallo this morning. Where are we at with that?
Yeah, I think we're expecting confirmation from Manchester United today that Amad Diallo has indeed put pen to paper on a new contract. It's all been agreed. 2030 is the new contract. So what's that? A 4.5-year deal for Amad Diallo, arguably one of Manchester United's most important players. Certainly he's come up with some iconic moments, isn't he? The FA Cup winner against Liverpool in the quarter-final last season, scored in the derby at the Etihad as United came from behind to win that, and got the equaliser at Anfield. So he's a real fan's favourite. Once this deal is in place, I would expect then United to focus their attentions on Kobbie Mainoo and making sure he's tied down as well.
Yeah. Ipswich doing everything they can possibly do to stay resident in the Premier League, no doubt. So some business for them in this window, Alex.
I think Ipswich are going to be a problem for some of those teams just above the dotted line. I think maybe that's why West Ham have been spooked into a change. It's why Everton are looking at their managerial options, and even Crystal Palace might feel they're not completely safe, because it's taken a while, but I feel like Ipswich now are at home in the Premier League. I think they're capable of competing, and they're going to go big in this window. Ben Godfrey already signed on loan from Atalanta, a player with plenty of Premier League experience. And now Jayden Philogene having a medical as we speak. You'll remember, Jim, we were over in Germany. We were speaking to the Hull owner at the time about where Jayden Philogene might pitch up Ipswich, one of the clubs in for him then. He went back to Aston Villa instead for £13 million. They activated a buyback option. £21 million plus add-ons is the figure that I was told last night. So Aston Villa, in the space of a few months, making an £8 million profit on Jayden Philogene.
You kind of shuddered there when you heard the 21 million bit.
It doesn't cut it at Villa and they get a 50%, 60% hike on the price. That's sometimes the lunacy of the transfer marketplace. I've always thought Ipswich would be the threat. I think that the manager is such a capable operator that I think we had Mark Ashton in here, their chief executive come chairman, who has already told us that they were going to go again in January and that they had some funds left in the transfer pot that they'd raised, refinanced the club with 250 million quid. And so they had liquidity to be able to make decisions and to have a go at it. They'd already spent a fair amount of cash. They weren't slouches. And so fair play to them.
Who might be at risk as a result of Ipswich turning it on and staying? Wolves, Everton just above them.
Yeah, obviously. I think Wolves have had the bounce and Pereira's milked it and started kissing the badge and running over to the fans and all that sort of stuff. And now the hard work comes. Now we'll see if they can sustain it. They've got good enough players to do so. But I think obviously it's the immediate three above them that are the ones that are being challenged. I think Leicester, if Leicester gets sanctioned, they're going to find themselves in real problems, and quite frankly, they deserve it. They got away with the last one. If they get sanctioned now, they'll have gotten caught up with. But I think Southampton have gone, aren't they? So it's really about whether Ipswich, and I think Ipswich are a decent side, and Lloyd and Liam Delap is a really good player. I really like him.
He is indeed. Alex, you and I will no doubt join forces and do another of our hugely watched and widely listened to podcasts on the transfer front.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I think we're penciling to do one tomorrow, aren't we? So, they seem to be going down well so far. And I'll tell you what, you never quite know what to expect in a transfer window, particularly in January. But it's been a lot busier so far than I expected. One more we should mention, Andreas Pereira at Fulham, Palmeiras in Brazil, pushing really hard to sign him. They've made a £20 million offer, and I'm told the player wants to make the move. So Fulham could have a bit of a fight on their hands to keep him.
To Palmeiras in Brazil. Alex, thank you very much indeed.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.